Okay, welcome back to part 2 of subtraction. If you haven't watched part 1, we recommend doing that first. In this video, we're going to begin looking at regrouping. We do want to kind of let you know on the front end, second graders have never regrouped with subtraction. So this is going to be a whole new concept. We would anticipate some of this to take a little longer to develop for others. And it's going to be crucial that you are watching the exchanges they're making with concrete manipulatives and also having them draw their thinking so that you can see where to intervene where they have misconceptions. So we're going to start with the takeaway strategy up here. I have represented 45. If you think about a story problem, if I relate it to just whole amounts of money, if I have $45 and I take away 17 or I spend 17, this would be a story problem that would fit in this context. I've got 45 and I'm taking away 17, so I need to take away a 10 and 7 ones. I do not have 7 ones, so I already see that I cannot take away 7 ones, so I need to exchange 1 10 for 10 ones. Now this normally gets pretty tricky because a lot of times they'll just fill this out to be a complete 10 and they don't add an additional full set of 10. So one strategy that you could do is actually have them hold the 10 ones in their hands, the 1 10 in their hands, they take this away, they put all 10 back down. We mentioned in the video prior that we like to organize our ones in a 10 frame just because that's a familiar context for them, and that, you know, this can be pretty large to have 15 ones on one side of the mat. One thing that is important to point out here is this is a connection from first grade. 3 10s and 15 ones is equivalent to 45. So they have had exposure to this prior. So they need to look and see before I start taking away anything, does it still equal 45? And then they're ready to take away their 17. So I'm going to start with my ones. I know I have 7 ones, so I'm going to take away 5 and 2, which is 7 decomposed. I'm going to move those away, and I have 1 10 that I'm going to take away. So I'll take away my 1 10. I am left with 2 10s and 8 ones, which is a difference of 28. We mentioned before that it is helpful if you have students draw this out. So I've had experience exchanging. There is no replacement for actually moving those concretely. But once I've had multiple experiences regrouping, I can connect that to drawings, and we would do that side by side. So I'm going to represent with that takeaway strategy 4 10s and 5 ones. I need to take away 7 ones. I cannot do that, so I must exchange 1 10 for an additional 10 more ones. And again, this value is 15 and 3 10s, and that is equivalent to 45. Now I can take away my 7 ones. I see that I'm left with 8 ones, and I can take away my 1 10. I see I'm left with 2 10s, which is 20 plus 8, which is 28. This is where if they can chart their thinking, you can see what's going on. Why are they missing this regrouping so that you can intervene in the right spot? So now let's look at a little bit more challenging strategy, which is the comparison strategy. We showed this without regrouping in the last video. So I'm going to represent both amounts similar to what you do in addition. I'm going to represent the amount 45 and I'm going to represent the amount 17. What misconception you could probably see happen is them compare the row of 5, saying I took away a 5, the rod of 10, the rod of 10, and they took away a 10. And this is that common misconception you see where they tell you the answer is 32. Okay, they didn't borrow in any way, and if you look at what I took away, I compared amount of 15 and not 17. So this will help intervene on that misconception. They still have 2 ones that must come out of the total in order to have a difference that would be a comparison through 17. So let's think about a word problem where this would really matter. If I had $45 and my friend had $17, how much more do I have than my friend? So I've got the 2 amounts, and we're going to compare them one by one. I already see that I've got to take away 17. There's not enough for me to take away. So I can again exchange right here my 10 ones in hand with my 10 rod, replace those, and I can have a total of 15 ones because I know that 15 ones and 3 10s is equivalent to 45. And then I'm going to take away, I think I don't have, there we go, there's my 15. I had 3 extra, sorry about that. So I'm going to take away my 7 ones, So I took away 7 ones. And I'm going to take away my 110 and my 110, and I'm left with a difference of 28. That's how you can see that misconception come in. I actually did compare a quantity that is equivalent to 17. All right, let's look at what this looks like with drawings. So if I go back to the comparison strategy, again, we'd want to relate it to the manipulatives. Side by side, if I represented my 45, and then represented my 17, and I want to compare the two quantities, I can see I do not have enough ones, so I'm going to have to exchange my 10 ones, my 110 for 10 additional ones, and now I can actually compare the quantity. I've got 7 ones I need to take away, 7 ones I need to take away. I'm left with 8 ones. I've got 110 I need to take away. I've got to take away an additional 10, and I've got 2 10s left over, which leaves me with 28. So again, this is a great place to intervene to actually bring those blocks back in so that they can make the connection between the two, the concrete and the pictorial. Let's move back up here. Let's take drawings to the place value level. So place value is pretty much as far as you get. We're going to look at decomposing in a minute, but we don't get into the algorithm with regrouping. So this is about as complex as it would need to get. It's more abstract. So thinking about 45, I would decompose it into 4 10s and 5 1s. I would decompose 17 into 1 10 and 7 1s. And I would see that I've got to take away 7 1s from 5 1s. Again, you can bring your drawings in here to help to automatically see I don't have enough to take away 7. So I must take away a 10, and I must exchange it to have 10 additional ones, which turns this into a value of 15 ones total. I can see, take away my 7. There we go. I'm left with 8 ones. I've got 3 10s. I must take away an additional 10, and I'm left with 2 10s, which is 20 plus 8, which is 28. The last strategy is a little bit more of a mental math strategy, but there's a lot of students that can think of numbers in this way. Decomposing would be thinking about how can I break apart 17 to make this an amount easier to work with. So I'm looking at 45 and I'm seeing that I could automatically take 5 away. I know that 17 has a 10 in it, and 10 plus 5 plus 2, the 7 is really broken apart into 5 and 2. So this makes it much easier to work with. I can take 45 minus 10, which is 35. I could take 35 minus 5, which is 30. And I can do 30 minus 2, which is 28. So there's many variations of this because it's basically manipulating numbers based on number sense and decomposing. So this is a great strategy to have students share and talk about.